Hi and welcome to another Stampin' Sunday blog hop with me, Ruth, from Artful Stampin'. Today I'm mainly focusing on the Power of Hope bundle, which is available in the Saleabration freebies, and that's what we're all as bloggers focusing on this Sunday, items from Saleabration. So to start off with, I wanted to create some texture onto some of the designer series paper that is also free in this current Saleabration offering, and I decided I wanted to ink up the paper as well as sorry, that's the embossing folder, not the paper, so that the ink would transfer onto the paper. And by the way, it's the Lily Impressions designer series paper. On the other side it's quite patterned, and I wanted the kind of mosaic feel to come through quite clearly on it. Excuse me. So I initially inked up with a darker shade, so the lovely lipstick and the terracotta tile for the pink and the terracotta coloured papers. But for the purple one, I actually inked my embossing folder with white, the craft white ink. Then I just embossed a piece of white cardstock as well. Then I wanted to create a stamped one sheet wonder, basically create my own designer series paper using inks and stamps. So to start off with, as you can see here, I used Flirty Flamingo, Blushing Bride and Soft Seafoam, and I just swiped the ink pad across my cardstock. Now you do have to be careful when you do this. Sometimes the ink can kind of tug onto the paper, and as you saw earlier, I kind of creased the paper a little bit by accident. Anyway, it didn't seem to matter too much by the time I finished. So then I stamped with the colours that I'd used previously, lovely lipstick, terracotta tile, and the purple, which was Blackberry Bliss. So these lovely image stamps, I thought would be nice just to combine them all together and create my own patterned paper. Normally I do this with flowers, and I'm much more comfortable doing it with flower stamps, but I thought I'd have another go doing it with more image-based stamps. So then I cut myself a few pieces of cardstock for the base, and I decided to use white so that it wouldn't clash too much with all the busyness of what I was going to be sticking down. Then I cut the paper that I had embossed into strips, kind of fairly random strips from about 1 inch to maybe 1.5 inch wide. I just wanted a variety. And then also I cut up my stamped paper as well. Now I made sure that the length of this was pretty much the size of my card base, because I envisaged kind of sticking it down and then not really having to do too much cutting afterwards. So when I was cutting up my paper, I was aware of trying not to cut my lady in half, so I can't give you exact measurements. I just kind of eyeballed it and went by my gut really, and just tried to avoid cutting her nose off or anything like that. So, you know, when you do this, don't feel you have to, you know, be really prescriptive. You can just kind of go with how the paper ends up looking. So then I had a quick play with just aligning up different papers with my pattern paper and the colours, and you know, you can kind of have fun playing around with all these different combinations. After a while I decided that this was a little bit boring so I thought, I know what, I'm going to you know, play with some punches and, you know, maybe cut out sentiments and, you know, do something more. So I decided also to cut some very fine strips of gold foil cardstock as well, as a little bit of an accent, because it kind of felt that it needed something that was, you know, different to the papers that were there. It was very, you know, they're super colourful, and they needed kind of like a metallic element to it. So these little flowers I punched out using the flower punch. I'll find the name of it. It's also available during Saleabration when you spend £90. and it's called the Small Bloom Punch, and it's a lovely nifty little thing to get you some little flowers in here and there on your card. So as you can see, it kind of comes easily all together. You know, just stick down those strips and then add any extras that you want to. Now I'm using there the little tiny trimmer that's available if you sign up currently to Stampin' Up. It's a special offer on at the moment that you pay £99, you can choose up to £130 of product completely free, well included, sorry, in your £99, but you also get to choose a stamp set of your choice for free, and you get that little mini trimmer and some a little pack of papers. You get, I think, 48 in the pack. That itself is worth over £10. So all in all, you can pretty much get nearly £200 worth of product for £99. So if you like Stampin' Up product and you're thinking of maybe placing an order and it comes over that amount, then it's worth having a look at that sign up offer. Now if you do sign up, you can be your own shopper. You don't have to necessarily sell to anybody, but do give me a ring or drop me a line by email if you'd like to discuss this and whether or not you think this offer is suitable for you. So I decided then to create a card that was a little bit more, had a little bit more white space in it. So I used that piece of white cardstock that I'd embossed and just used a tinier amount of the pattern paper and then an even smaller amount of that plain cardstock, not cardstock, DSP that I'd embossed. And I quite like this one. Oh, incidentally, there's a little slither of gold as well on the left hand side, just to try and create a little bit of a luxurious accent to the card, because I then put one of the gold faceted gems also inside the flower. I love those gold gems. They remind me of gumdrops, but they do bring kind of a hint of luxury to a card. So then I decided I wanted to make a bag, and so I just used about 6 inches by 12 inches of the free DSP and scored it so that it would have a 1-inch gusset. I'm sorry I don't have the measurements right now, but I've done previous bags like this. If you have a look back on my YouTube channel, I'm sure you'll be able to find it, but message me if you can't. And I just used up the little scrap bits that were left over from all the cutting out I did, and decided just to use it and decorate a little bag. And this was just going to be a nice little gift bag. You know, maybe you could put some mini cards in there, or you could also just put, I don't know, gift token or little nail varnish. Lots of little things could fit in that bag. So again, I use that little mini trimmer. I'm sorry I've got it off camera there, but that trimmer is so useful for just cutting up little pieces where you don't necessarily need specific measurements. You just need to kind of like eyeball it and just chop it. So if you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and also please do head over to my blog today, because you will find links to all the other blog hoppers, and it's made up of a wonderful team of people from all around the world, all Stampin' Up demonstrators who love to create and show you how to make wonderful projects. So grab a cup of tea and go and have a look at that, the rest of the list of people hopping today. So that little purple flower is just a nice finishing touch to my little bag. And I decided to put some other flowers on the other side as well. And I had to squeeze out these flowers from the last bit of that peachy paper. But it's amazing how many little flowers you can cut out of small scrap bits. think I'm ferreting around to see if I can find anything else to stick on my bag. So after I'd stuck everything down, I then assembled the bag very easily by just putting a bit of glue on there and then putting it all together. I realised that it wasn't quite aligned properly, so I had to turn it over and just put some more pressure on it. So it's super easy just to put it all together afterwards. But I do recommend that you do your decorating beforehand, because it's a bit trickier to be sticking little pieces onto a bag that's already made up. Now, to get that base to stick down properly, a little tip is to pop a heavy weight inside, and the small punch was just a perfect size just to fit down into the bottom for me to give it a bit of a squash down. So there you have it. We've got a little mini bag and 4 cards using the Power of Hope bundle and the Designer Series paper, which I've forgotten the name of again, and Lily Impressions, that's it, Designer Series paper, and also this small bloom punch. Thank you for joining me again, and I hope you have a great day, and thank you for subscribing and sharing. Take care for now. Bye.